You want to hear a funny story about resonance?
Yes.
Okay, this is the last time I took LSD.
Okay, I already love it.
You mentioned Terence McKenna earlier.
Yes.
I had been reading Terence McKenna, and a friend of mine who is associated with the Grateful Dead got in touch with me, and he said, I've got some of this amazing LSD from, the guys around the dead, or this guy who made acid for the dead. And it's like, do you want some? Like,
wow.
Of course. I mean, it's like, getting holy water from Jesus or something.
Wait, you're talking about Owsley.
Well, no, this was recently.
Okay.
Yeah, this was I don't know, 10 years ago or something.
Okay.
So, anyway, so I've got this liquid acid, and I've got a friend who's a psychiatrist in Barcelona who, back in the day used to order LSD from Sandoz and have it shipped to him, and he was one of these guys. And so I told him about it, and he said, "Oh yeah, I'd love to try that." So he came by my place, and I gave him a sugar cube, and we put 4 drops on it. He asked for 4 drops, and then he wandered off. And a couple of days later, I talked to him. He said, "Oh, it was great. It was very clean. Very great." No, he took 3 drops. And so I had been reading Terence McKenna and the whole thing about heroic dosages and the little green men and all that stuff. And I had done a fair bit of hallucinogens in my life, but I had never seen any little green men. And my approach to drugs and to riding motorcycles and parachuting and whatever is like, do dangerous things safely. I love doing dangerous things, but I don't like getting hurt or killed. So I try to be very smart about doing dumb things.
Okay.
And so I don't like do huge doses of anything. I tend to be very moderate and conservative.
Sure.
But I was like, well, I'm not going to do this many more times in my life. I've been there enough that it becomes, to me, it's something to do very respectfully.
Yes.
And when you've got what you need, you sort of back off. And so I thought, this might be the last time I ever do this. So I'm going to really go for it. So I took 4. And I wandered off into the woods with this friend of mine. And he was really like, I got to go. I got to walk. I'm like, okay, you walk. I'm going to lie under this big tree right here with its big, beautiful branches on this summer's day. And I'm going to lie here and look at the way the leaves are fluttering and the blue sky, little bits of blue sky through the leaves and the force of the tree. And, and I just got really into it. And after a while, I started to feel the vibration, that sort of vibrational energy of the tree. And I could bring my own brain vibration into alignment with the vibration of the tree and get that resonance. And when I felt it aligning, it was like my body would just go, and I would get this, a brain orgasm would start, right?
Wow.
And it was so intense that I was afraid I was going to fry my brain out. So I would pull out of resonance with it and oh, wow, that was amazing.
Wow.
Let's see if I can do that again. And bring my resonance in, and then again. It was. So I was lying there being fucked by this tree for I don't know how long, right? Until I just couldn't take it anymore. And I said, okay, I gotta walk. I gotta get up. And so I got up and I walked out from under the tree, and I was walking down this trail, and I heard this humming sound, and it was like the vibration of the tree is following me, or there are helicopters, or what's going on. I look up in the sky, and right over this tree that I'd been lying under are high tension power lines.
Whoa.
I thought I was fucking nature. I was being raped by industry.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
You were tuning in to the power field above the tree.
Right.
And it was making you fry out.
It was frying my brain, apparently. And that was the beginning of a really bad trip. I mean, I've tripped a fair bit, and I've had some weird shit happen. I mean, I was told once that I was stung by a scorpion in Guatemala on top of this temple, and I was tripping at the time, and a guy told me the scorpions were fatal. So I've had some bad trips.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there, just because you have to be the coolest person on earth. Because what you just said is so funny, man. I was tripping on top of a temple.
The Jaguar Temple.
In Guatemala.
In Tikal, yeah.
And got stung by a scorpion.
Yeah.
That sounds like something that sounds like lyrics to a Rolling Stones song.
Sympathy for the devil.
Yeah, it's the worst.
Yeah,
Man,
yeah.
I cannot imagine that trip. That is a legendarily bad trip. That was a good trip.
No, that was a great trip.
So you were okay. You're saying
So wait, let me finish the other one.
Okay.
So because I won't go into a lot of detail, but it started with that. Like, oh my God, I thought I was, it's like a Thai she-male or something. You think it's a beautiful woman, and then you get
right,
and it's like, wow, wait a minute.
that old problem.
It happens to everybody. But yeah, so I mean, it was terrible. So then I was really high, like really, really high. And I'm the guy, I'm always the designated driver. I'm always the guy who answers the phone. I'll deal with your parents. Whatever comes up, I'm
Right.
the guy who will I can get normal when I need to be, right? But in this case, I wasn't feeling normal at all. So I'm running through this forest. I lost my shirt. I've got shorts on. I'm sweating. I'm bleeding from all these, the briars I'd been charging through in a panic, thinking there are helicopters flying around, thinking I've destroyed my brain with all this electromagnetic fucking I'd been doing. And I'm lost in this park, right? And I hear from one direction and in another direction. And from another direction, a Spanish woman saying, "Oye, Pepe, venga aquí. Oye, ¿qué haces?" What the fuck is going on? I'm surrounded by these weird, voices, and then this woman. So I get under a bush. I'm hiding under this rhododendron bush, sweating, bleeding. I'd been crying. I'm a mess.
This is
And I'm
intense.
thinking, if anyone sees me, God, there's no way I'm going to explain this. Right? So I got to hide, even though if they see me under the bush, it's even worse.
Yeah.
But I'm hiding, and these voices are mulling around, and then the voices sort of gather, and they start moving away. So I come out from under the bush, and I look, I open these trees, and I look, there's this big field and a big mansion in the field, and there are these two mental patients walking back with the nurse. It's a mental hospital. I'd wandered onto the grounds of a mental hospital.
This is truly the worst trip of all time.
That was pretty bad, yeah.
Like if there were awards for bad trips each year.
But the nurse would see me and take me into the hospital.
That's the next step. That's the way it ends, right? Is you think you were having a LSD trip, and then you realize you're just in an asylum, and every fucking day,
Every day.
you think you relive this thing where you have to get dragged back into the asylum. That is a crazy.
Yeah.
In fact, what if you're an escaped lunatic and you just fabricated this story and that's your escape?
There was a famous study done, I think it was in the 70s, where I think it was PhD psychology students. Their professor said, here's the experiment you're going to do. You're going to check yourself into a mental hospital, all 10 of you. Check yourself into a mental hospital. Tell them you're hearing voices, whatever. You're feeling a break from reality. Spend the night there. And then talk your way out. None of them could talk their way out. The doctors wouldn't believe them. So the next day, they say to the doctor, "No, listen, I'm a grad student. This has been a thing, whatever. I'm fine. This was just a test. My teacher, he teaches here at Harvard, da-da-da." No. Nobody believed them. The professor had to go. I don't know if it was 48 or 72 hours. He had to go to the hospital and say, "Listen, you've got someone here. It's my student. What he's been telling you is true."
Wow.
And it was to demonstrate how helpless you become when you're a mental patient, right? When you admit you've got a problem, suddenly everything you say is suspect.
Yes. Yeah, it's the worst. And this doesn't just happen in mental asylums, it happens in fucking relationships, man. It's like you end up in a situation where the expectations have become so extreme and so crystallized that there's no way to talk your way out of it. You're always going to be the bad person, or you're always going to be this way. Even if you've changed, even if you've shifted, there's just no way out once someone's decided to allow the expectations
You've
to...
been labeled.
You've been labeled, and it's really hard to get out from under labels, and that's the micro tyranny that is responsible for so much of this guilt oppression that's happening all over the planet. And we don't know what the solution is for it, but It's definitely not tripping on the grounds of a mental asylum.
Do you have to cut to a commercial or anything?
No, man, no commercial. No, I mean, no.
Oh.
We do them in the beginning.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I threw a commercial. I threw a commercial in the middle of the last podcast I did, and like a swarm of complaints. From,
really?
Like, Jesus Christ, man! Like, you can skip ahead if you don't like something. But anyway, man, this is going on for a while anyway. But I want to finish the story of you on top of a temple, getting stung by a scorpion and thinking you're going.
We have time?
We definitely have time because you can't just say the beginning of that and not finish that story. First question: How did you end up on top of a temple? Can anyone go up to the top of the temple?
Yeah. I told you I'd backpacked around the world for 15 years or so, right? And I don't know if it's a bad idea to admit this, but I had LSD sewn into the seam of my backpack.
Not a bad idea to admit that.
And so I would go to interesting places, often at the full moon. Taj Mahal, for example.
Yes.
There's a place in southern Mexico called Monte Alban, outside of Oaxaca. And I would go to these places, and often with people I'd met on the road or whatever. And in the case of Guatemala, I was with my girlfriend at the time. And, sort of be there for the rising of the full moon, the setting of the sun, the special kind of moment. So anyway, okay, this place is...
Were you doing that for anything other than aesthetic reasons? Were you doing that because of some metaphysical idea that you could... like an astrological idea?
No. It's just, when I was traveling, I sort of marked time by full moons, and I like to be in a cool place for the full moon.
Okay.
So, I remember being in Kashmir in northern India on this houseboat in a lake in Srinagar and thinking, okay, next full moon, I want to be at the Taj Mahal.
Cool.
And so sort of work it out. And a cool thing about those years that I learned is that, this notion that, time goes faster as you get older and all that, which is true, but you can slow time down by traveling.
Huh.
That month from Srinagar to the Taj Mahal is like a year in my life currently.
Interesting.
So you met so many people, you have so many experiences, your life is so rich with novelty.
Right.
And really, time is a measure of change, right? In a vacuum, time doesn't exist because nothing's changing.
Right.
So if you can pack your life full of interesting changes, you stretch it out.
Cool.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense, man. It makes a lot of sense.
Right. So if you want to live longer, have a really interesting life.
Right. Because that's when when you get that fucking 9-hour-a-day job, 40 hours a week, you look up and 7 years have passed. Right. You're like, what the fuck happened?
Exactly.
So anyway,
Yeah.
we're on top of a temple. The Jaguar Temple. What is
Jaguar Temple? It's Temple 4.
Night of the full moon.
In Tikal, which is in northeastern Guatemala, way back in the jungle.
What does the temple look like?
They are limestone temples built by the Mayans, so it's the sort of same style.
Pyramids, kind of.
Pyramids with very steep stairs going up the front of some of them, which they threw bodies down after they ripped the heart out in lots of them. But anyway, this one is Temple 4 is the highest temple. I don't know how high, maybe 400 feet or something like that. To get up there, you have to it was sort of partially excavated at the time, so we had to scramble over roots and all these rocks and stuff at the base, and then you get up higher, and there were ladders drilled into the limestone, so you climb up a ladder, and then you go up some steps, and then there's another ladder, and you get to near the top, and there's this ledge that goes all the way around.
Yeah.
And so we got up there it was my girlfriend and I and this other couple that we had met in the campground, because there's no hotel or anything. There was a campground, you put up hammocks.
There's no park ranger here escorting you or guy?
No.
So you're there,
it's pretty
unmonitored.
raw. Yeah, unmonitored. And she and I had taken some acid to time with the full moon setting, rising and the sun setting. And we hadn't told this other couple, right? So we get up there, and there's some other people up there, some other travelers. And what happened was the sunset, and we're above the tree level. So you're looking down, they're howler monkeys.
Wow.
They're pumping up their neck bag. And then it's just crazy howler monkeys.
Wow.
Anyway, so you're up above that. The sun sets on one side. the moon rises, there's this big bank of storm clouds. It's raining in the distance. There's a rainbow over the green chaos of the jungle. And there's a band between the horizon and this bank of clouds. So the moon comes up blood red in this band and then starts to pass behind the clouds, right? And it's going to be another couple of hours before it comes back out. So this couple we're with says, it's going to be dark, and so we're going to go back to the campsite. So Anna and I were like, we're not going anywhere for a while. We're just going to stay here. So I said, yeah, I'll hold the flashlight for you while you go down. There was this ladder that went down about 40 feet.
Sure.
So they go down the ladder. I'm shining the light so they can see. They get to the bottom. They turn on their own flashlight. Okay, see you guys later. I turn off my light. I take a step. Fuck, it stung me on the right foot. I was wearing sandals in the jungle like a dumbass. First of all, lucky I didn't jump, because if I had jumped, I would have fallen 40 feet on the rocks, right? And so I turn the flashlight back on, and I see the scorpion run up the wall. Like, whoa, there it is. It's about 5 inches long, kind of greenish gray, pretty big, and it goes up the wall. And then I look, and there are more of them on the wall. So, this is not good, right? So I go over to Anna. I say, man, this scorpion just stung me. And she was like, ooh, is that bad? I said, I don't know. Because I had been traveling all through Mexico to get there. And in some regions, they can kill you. In other regions, it's not as bad.
How many hours into the trip?
We were peaking, right? So this was like 3 hours into the trip. Right. So meanwhile, the moon's gone behind this cloud, and it's pitch black, right? And you're way up, so you have to be careful where you step and all that. So, and there are these scorpions all over the walls, because apparently the limestone holds the heat, and they come out at night. And that's their thing. So this place is crawling with scorpions. So,
how's your foot feeling? You just got stung by a scorpion. What's the pain level?
like a bee sting, like a sharp pain in my toe, right? So there come some other people sitting. There's these 2 Italian guys sitting off to the side. So we walk over to them. They don't speak any English, but Anna spoke Spanish, and Spanish Italian. You can communicate. So she says to them, hey, my boyfriend just got stung by a scorpion. What do you know? And they're like, I don't know anything. So, but what happened? And watch out, they're all around. So we're sort of powwowing with them. And meanwhile, this Guatemalan guy, a guard, comes up the ladder with his old bolt-action rifle, and it's his job to sit up there all night and guard against what, I don't know, but that's his job. And there's some weird military stuff going on in Guatemala at this time, as there always is, but this was kind of a rough time as well. So anyway, we go over to this Guatemalan guy, and Ana says to him in Spanish, he just got stung by a scorpion. Are they dangerous? And the guy says, son letales. They're lethal.
Fuck.
I understood that. So I thought, oh, shit, man, this is going to be heavy. So...
yeah, as in I'm going to die.
Yeah. So... but I had heard that there were some American archaeologists working somewhere in the complex. So I thought, if there's... I don't even know if there's an anti-venom for scorpions, but if there is, they would have it, right? So I want to get down from here, try to find them. There's no way anyone could carry me down, so I got to get myself down.
Yes.
And there's no medevac helicopter that's going to come and airlift me out of here. I'm like 2 days from Guatemala City, which is the nearest city of any sort.
Right.
So
you are fucked.
I got to get down. I'm fucked. Yeah. So Anna starts freaking out, and it's a lot. This one of the things I learned that night was it's harder to watch someone you love die than to die yourself.
Wow.
She's kind of losing it, but I can't. I can't, take care of her. I got to deal with my shit. So one of the Italian guys says, I'll stay with her. You go with him, right? So I go down. One of the Italian guys is with me. I start making my way down over the rocks and all the shit. By the time, it's like 20 minutes till we get to the ground level. By that point, the pain is running up along the bone in my leg. And when it gets to the top of a muscle, the muscle freezes. Right? So, at some point from the knee down, it's rigid. And then from the hip down, my whole leg is just rigid, right? Then my tongue swells, and it feels like after the dentist. And my neck swells, so I can't really swallow. I'm spitting. But I can still breathe, right? And I'm thinking, this gets to my heart.
That's it.
I'm done, right? Or I can't breathe anymore, or whatever. And so we get to the ground, and then we start walking, and of course we get lost, right? And because it's all completely dark now in this jungle. And there are all sorts of glowing insects and worms everywhere, which is really intense. So I'm walking along with this guy, feeling, this pain and this weird sensation in my tongue, and I'm saying my last words. And I remember thinking, this is so bizarre. I'm saying my last words to a guy who speaks no English, whose face I have never seen, right? Because I never shone the flashlight in his face.
Yes.
And by the time we started talking, then it was completely dark. This guy is just like, it's like Dante's companion in the Inferno or something. I've never seen this dude. He doesn't understand a word I'm saying, but he's like saying, yeah, oh, yeah, don't. And he's put his hand on my shoulder. He's trying to comfort me and stuff. And I think I'm 27 years old. This happened the full moon of April 1989. I was 27 years old, and I thought, I've been around the world twice. I've loved beautiful women. I've been loved by wonderful people. I've experienced everything I could have possibly wanted to experience. I'm okay with this. And I'm dying in a really interesting way. And when my friends hear about this, they'll laugh.
Right.
This is perfect, actually. You know what I mean? I've got no complaints at all.
Yeah.
And, to what extent that was the fact that I was tripping, to what extent that would have happened anyway, I don't know. But I do know that I was, Kubler-Ross talks about the stages of grief.
Yes.
Right? I was dabda, denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance.
Yes.
I was at acceptance. And it was a wonderful, amazing moment. And I sort of, I'll write about this someday. It's like that. Everything after that's gravy for me.
Wow, man. What happened though? So how'd you survive?
What happened was I went to, should I finish the story on my podcast?
No, you can't torment these sweeties like that. You can't leave us hanging, man. This isn't a fucking cliffhanger.
All right. So what happened, actually it was kind of bizarre what happened. So we're walking along. We finally come to this little parking lot. There's a 10-year-old Guatemalan kid there waiting for a bus or something.
Yeah.
The Italian tells the kid what happened. The kid looks at me like I'm a ghost and says, oh my God, come. So we follow the kid. He takes us to this hut, bangs on the door a lot. Finally, some light comes on, this slow flickering jungle fluorescent light, and this obviously shit-faced Guatemalan guy, bleary-eyed, what's going on? The kid tells him, the guy says, okay, come in. Oh, it's the doctor. This guy was no doctor. He was, he had a first aid kit or something, right? And so the guy looks at my foot and asked me to describe the scorpion. All this is going through the Italian, translating.
Yes.
And I tell him, 5 inches green. And he says, oh, no, that's not a scorpion. That's alacran. In Spanish, there are 2 words. In English, it's just 1 word. It's fucking scorpion, right? There are alacranes and there are scorpiones. Scorpions are little red things that if they sting you, you're dead.
Gotcha.
The alacran, which is big and green, if you've got a bad heart or you're a little kid or you're really old or something, it could hurt, it could kill you. But otherwise, you'll just get the symptoms I already had. And in a couple days, you'll be fine, right? So nobody believes a doctor in the third world unless they give you a pill or an injection,
Right.
So he takes these, it must have been aspirin in a little thing, gives me that, and he scoops some water out of a bucket and says, take these pills. And of course I think, I don't drink water out of buckets in the tropics, but this guy just told me I'm not going to die, so I'll do whatever the fuck he tells me.
Yeah.
So I take the pills and wash them down. Then I go back to the campsite, find my girlfriend's back at the campsite by now and the other couple, and I tell them the whole story, and we drink beer and have a great time. And 2 weeks later or 10 days later, I start getting these really intense headaches behind my eyes. Hepatitis
From the water.
from the water.
God fucking damn it. That is a bad... Look, man, I guess some full moons you got to stay off the top of jaguar temples. Because the spirits got you.
They got me.
They got you good.
They did.
Man,
Taught me a lesson.
well, but what a wonderful... I think, you know what, from having the experience of like coming to terms with your own mortality and being at peace with that, I think that might be worth a little dose of jungle hepatitis. But yeah, so that's a beautiful story, man. You've had quite an incredible incarnation, huh?
Yeah.
I think even though you don't want to say you have the answer, I think one clue that I'm taking away from what you're talking about is the necessity of travel and like getting out of your comfort zone and hitting the road from time to time.
Yeah.
I got to do that. Man, thank you so much for being on this show.